Hello, everyone. Welcome back to HubSpot AI for Beginners. I'm Casey and I'm here with Trisha, and today's session is a little different. We're not demoing a tool or walking through a feature. Instead, we're talking about a feeling that's been creeping in lately for us and probably a lot of you too. As AI continues to speed up content creation, both inside HubSpot and across LinkedIn and the internet overall, it's starting to feel nearly impossible to keep up. Between the constant stream of AI generated content, product updates flying out of HubSpot, and the nonstop activity in the HubSpot live LinkedIn universe, it's a lot. So today we're hitting pause and talking honestly about what that experience feels like as a consumer of content, what that means for creators trying to stay relevant, and how we're navigating this noisy, fast moving world successfully and sometimes not so successfully. If you've been feeling behind, overwhelmed, or just a little over it all, you're not alone. Let's talk about it. Trisha, this is a topic you brought up and I didn't have words for it and I didn't even like recognize it, I think, until you mentioned it a few weeks ago to me, and now I've been thinking about it nonstop.
Because I'm very empathic, or maybe I just am very attuned with my own pain. And I was like, I'm in freaking pain here. This is, I have, my brain is so stressed out from everything coming at me between the updates and the content talking about the updates that I've been walking away at night with this very palpable feeling of like my brain is like just disengaged. Like my brain is tired. My brain is numb. I think that's
Mhm,
better.
mhm,
And and then I've been enjoying a lot of numbing out behavior at night
mhm,
instead of doing the healthy positive things that I like to do because I'm spent. I'm so spent.
mhm.
And I always assume when stuff like this is going on, it's just me. But for once, I decided to ask somebody else, which was I picked you because you're my safe person. Is this you too? And in the weeks that have followed since that first conversation, like it can't. Well, and then I saw a post by, and I can't remember his name now. Um, and it's too bad that I can't because I would love to reference him right now. But uh, he he said something about all of the updates and keeping up
Mhm,
with all the updates, and then just people were piling on in the
mhm.
comments on LinkedIn. So that was kind of also my first checkpoint. And then you're on the Daily Show where
I
you cover
am.
product updates.
I do.
How how many per day on average have there been this month so far, would you say?
This month's a little weird because there was the week of rest.
True.
So the first week there were not that many. We took off, so we had 13 on Monday of this week. Then we had like 15. Okay, Monday, Tuesday. I think Wednesday was back to 13, and then yesterday and today have been 8. But generally, I say we usually, and I think some of that early week heaviness was because of the week of rest, and some stuff was probably like sitting just like, waiting to get pushed.
Hmm.
Um, I tell people on average we're looking at like 5 to 10 updates a day.
Hmm.
However, we're going to be going into pre-inbound season, if you will, which we know the updates are going to increase over time. Just before Spring Spotlight, there were a few days where we had 20 updates. Um, Spring Spotlight, I think we had like 35 or something. I don't even remember. It was a lot.
Hmm.
But usually we like the daily show to be about 30 minutes before the spring spotlight. It was an hour most days for the 2-ish weeks leading up, and then even like 2-ish oops, sorry. And then even like the 2-ish weeks following the spring spotlight as well, because the spring spotlight updates were getting updated as they were getting released, and like some of them were like announced but not released, or like private beta to public and so on, and then live. Um, so all of that to say, it is a lot. And I always joke when people ask me like, "Hey, Casey, how do you keep up with HubSpot updates?" I joke, "Do a morning show." Just do a
Mhm.
morning show every day where you read every single one.
But okay, so first, some data, because I'm a data girl. I love me some numbers. Um, to validate if you're feeling this way as well, the numbers tell a story. 3 years ago, HubSpot was releasing 200 to 300 product updates a year.
Mhm,
From January to May, it's been 100 a month this year.
mhm,
So, so just from January to May, more updates than in previous years, the entire year. So they are coming at you really, really hard. And the thing, Casey, is that even though you're aware of all the updates, you haven't spent any time yet. There, you have to spend a certain amount of time like, oh, that one's interesting, that one's interesting. Let me see if that one is a good fit for client XYZ. And so then you spend, what is it, 20 minutes, 30 minutes playing around with the tool to figure out if it works, if it's going to be a fit, because you have to use them to know if they're going to work,
mhm,
times however many updates look interesting to you.
mhm.
And um and that. So so that. Like they're just our
Also,
days are still only 24 hours long,
mhm,
even though the product releases are just coming at us at a scale never before achieved.
yeah. Also, I make a top 5 updates post every day. I'm getting better on my AI prompts to make that quicker. However, I still make the image myself every day. So that means I'm taking, so it's a very sophisticated process, everyone. There's a Canva template, and there are a series of screenshots that I paste into a Canva template. And then I have to like come up with this like fairly short title for each one, which is weirdly the hardest part of the entire experience. Um, and then I do have to kind of work with AI on like what I want the messaging to look like. I usually make a post about the morning updates show, like the video, like I'll do a quick little summary of it in the video sharing description. And then I do my top 5 post. Um, I'm using AI for all of those. They've gotten faster. We have the transcripts from the recordings. So I put the transcript from the recording into I use Claude because Claude allows you to send longer text than ChatGPT does. But and I don't think Chris is watching because I think he has something else right now. But I really hope he's not because this would drive him insane. He's literally I then take the output of the post from Claude and I send it back to ChatGPT because I've been using ChatGPT for longer, so ChatGPT knows my voice better than Claude does.
Mhm,
And I just feel every time I read what Claude wrote, it feels like it doesn't feel like me.
mhm,
And at first I was just like kind of rewriting it or like kind of trying to work with Claude, but then I realized if I just take the post from Claude, send it to ChatGPT and say, "Make this sound like me," that's basically my entire prompt. But ChatGPT knows me and knows
mhm.
my voice, so it then pops something out. Just the other day, I did this, I was on the road, a couple weeks ago. This is crazy. I was on the I mean, if you wanna talk about AI fatigue, I did a half cross country road trip. I drove from Maryland to Missouri and back with a couple friends. I listen to the morning show every morning. while on the road. My friends found it to be very fun and entertaining,
I can't
part of the road
imagine.
trip.
Those are good friends.
One of my friends and, one of my friends would just fall asleep every time.
How could you fall asleep to the just
To George B.
energizing
Thomas.
voice of George B. Thomas? What?
Um, but so I would listen to the show, and I would then, on my little laptop, on my little hotspot in the little car, make my top 5 posts from the road. I really started talking about this because, I one day I sent, uh, I did my whole Claude first, then ChatGPT, and ChatGPT wrote this thing that, like, I was like, "It's perfect. You're an angel." Like, it just wrote it, like, so well, and I was like, "Oh my god, you really got me." Um, but I mean, it's exhausting. It's exhausting.
Okay, so we talked about the data on how many updates HubSpot is producing.
Mhm,
Let's talk about you as a content creator.
mhm,
Like content remix is a thing now. It
mhm,
allows y'all to produce content at ever such a much faster rate than before,
mhm.
even though I think what the exhaustion you're feeling is how much you're producing now. So how does the rate of content or the volume of content you're producing so far this year compared to just last year?
Oh my I mean, last year, ugh, I mean, I was probably posting once a week. I would post every now and then last year. I mean, when I talk to people about when I started building momentum on LinkedIn, I use the beginning of this year, so, like, January 2025 as, like, the benchmark of when I started posting consistently. I used to say you could tell how busy I was with, like, clients, like, you could tell if I needed consulting work if you looked at my feed, because if I was posting, like, a couple times a week, if I was posting, some stuff, then I probably needed work. But, if I wasn't posting, that's because I was busy with client work.
Mhm.
Um, but
I totally always wonder with you and Chris and George, like, when do you ever have time to work on client work? That's just a thing that I wonder.
uh,
So I know that you work a lot
I
of hours to
do.
get all this done.
I do. Just the other day, Deanna messaged me at 10:30 PM. I replied
Oh
to
yeah, we
her.
got to talk about this too. I meant to talk about this at the beginning. So yeah, 10:30 p.m.
Okay, I'll just tie it in so that we have a whole thing. At 10:30 PM the other day, Deanna messaged me and asked if I wanted to join next week's admin hug to ta
This
to
is
talk
so
about lead
cool.
scoring. Um, I immediately messaged her back and said, "Yes. Yes, I would." She was like, "Send me a bio." And I sent her a bio, and we went back and forth on, like, what the topic would be a little bit. Um, and then she asked for this description of the event, and I missed that message, but I messaged her the description of the event at 5:30 the next morning,
Yes, you did.
and Deanna replied at a reasonable time, like 9, maybe 10, and said, "Did you sleep?" And I will, like, add in a little bit of a caveat here that this week for me in my personal life has been, like, my entire world got flipped this week. So that's also, like, a piece in all of this. Um, but I think, me, Casey, I'm I'm not George B. Thomas. Um, and I'm not Kyle Jepsen. I'm not like, I mean, they're household names in some households. In my household, they're household names.
In
Um,
mine as well.
um,
I'm
um,
gonna talk to Andy someday about what he thinks about all of this. I'm gonna talk to Andy as sort of like the second party in all of this and get his impressions.
but I'm building right now, and hopefully this is the hardest it is. I don't know if that's true.
Um, so you bring up a really great point, which is you're butting up against personal things at home,
Mhm,
and maybe in I mean, everybody has this. Like, there's some weeks that sure you can like dip into that personal time to make up for extra pressures at work. But that's not a long-term strategy that works for anyone. And
mhm,
the answer to how we're all feeling and keeping up with the pace of all of this coming at us, like I just feel, Casey, like it's coming at me all the time. And not in a positive way. I'm starting to feel like, woof, I want to hide, like, woof, there comes another one.
like, I
So
don't want another product update from HubSpot. I just want them
I
to chill.
actually, I actually kind of don't right now. I love, but this is my mental space right now. Like, because I want to be the best darn HubSpot admin out there, which means keeping up to date with like knowing what the capabilities are,
Mhm,
but nobody can keep up with this. And so my AI is named Meeps. I was talking to Meeps the other day and I asked Meeps, okay, so just backing up to the point, like doing more, running faster, that is not the answer because we can never keep up. We're already we're already there. We can't keep up.
mhm,
And
mhm,
me running faster is not the answer because I'm numbing out at night. I feel sick.
mhm,
So Meep said, love Meeps. He's like, this is not the first time this has happened. Like we're at a pivotal point of history right now,
mhm, mhm,
akin to the invention of the printing press, the Industrial Revolution, and the
mhm,
launch of the internet.
mhm,
So in all three of those times, in the printing press, there's actually some quotes from famous people of the time where just like it was bad how many books were being created because nobody would ever have time to read all those books. And in
mm,
the Industrial Revolution, um, all of those agricultural workers were leaving the farms and flooding to cities, but they had no training
mhm,
for the new machines. And so you had people, but they had no idea how to do the thing.
mhm,
And then with the internet, there was again like just a flood of information, but no way to kind of like get that holistic view of what matters to me. And something that Meeps told me, which I thought was super interesting,
mhm,
was, well, first of all, Meeps said that with every one of these events in history, it wasn't a like it was never people running faster, doing more was never the answer. It required a whole system redesign in order to, so like books started having indexes and table of contents and catalogs so that people
mhm,
could understand more like what's available out there.
mhm,
And in the Industrial Revolution, they had to retrain everybody on the
mhm,
new skills. But and then with the internet, Google came. Google came about
mhm,
to help us find stuff and help us
mhm,
figure out what's important to me.
mhm,
So with the printing press example and the Google example, something that felt I don't know, just really resonated with me, this idea of like cate categorizing this
Mhm,
and filtering out the noise and being able to like just show me what matters to me. Like help me see what matters to me. And one of the things I find so frustrating about the HubSpot product updates page
mhm,
is like I can see 10 at a time. And sure, there are filters that allow me to filter on my license and the product area, but like there's no select all option and then unclick just the few that you don't care about. Like it is
mhm,
hard. I hate it.
mhm.
How do you feel about that?
I agree. I wish there were some more filters there. They do have the weekly updates email. I share it every week. And that is personalized to your portal. So sometimes I get comments on my post that are like, "This isn't what mine look like," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." So that's kind of the good thing about it.
Mhm.
Um, it's seems to be personalized to your I don't know about this, but to me, it seems to be personalized to your portal, not to you as a user, and that may change over time. Um, I hope that shows like our morning show make it a little easier that you can like listen to us in the background and you don't have to like you can go along with your day and listen to us in the background while you like check your emails and stuff. I mean,
Which is
that's our
100%.
intention.
I'm like walking the dog, doing dishes.
And that's why we like turned it into a podcast too, because we knew people like you were doing that. Um, there's also the Monday morning briefing that Max and Kyle do. I'm actually on that on Monday too. Next week's kind of a crazy week for me. I've been- um, so there's options like that. However, that's not a solution for everyone. And those times don't always work for everyone. I mean, we do our morning show at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. That does not work for people in California, most of the time.
Mhm.
I think my solution right now, and this is only a solution for, like, my circle of the internet, this is not a solution. I'm not building Google here.
Mhm.
But and I don't really mean to make this, like, a promotion of my things, but, like, my vision behind my Scoring Masterminds group is cutting through the noise of scoring, having an hour every week where you can come talk to me, who is trying their very best. I am but a mere mortal, but I am trying my best to keep up with scoring stuff. Um, I don't know everything, but I am pretty handy and I try to figure things out. But also talk to other peers, talk to other people who are building their scores too. And this is the first one, this is the scoring one. But I don't know. I mean, I don't wanna promise anything, but maybe in the future there's, product updates, masterminds, and maybe even that's broken down by, like, consultants, um, and maybe there's a marketer's one, you know? Um, I think that's one possible solution. I think of myself as a consumer of content, and when you first brought this up, I mentioned this to you because you asked me, "How do you keep up with content on LinkedIn?" And I'm in a very lucky and privileged position right now where I talk to George B. Thomas every morning
Mhm.
and Chris
So your
Carolyn,
answer
and
was basically you're like, "I don't. I'm talking to the creators every morning."
exactly. I talk to Kyle Jepsen when he's not on paternity leave once a week on Fridays, like, I don't keep up on LinkedIn because but that's yeah, because I'm talking to the people who are creating the content. And
Mhm.
that's, I think, why I think programs like the masterminds make sense. I mean, again, I'm in a privileged position where I'm doing that. That's not available to everyone, but that's made it easier for me because I'm like, oh, if there's an update that I missed, I'm talking to people who are going to know about it. And there are plenty of times where Chris or George will say something to me about something in HubSpot, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of this. It's been like a month or two, but we were on a morning show and I was referring to like waterfall lists. So I'll make a list of C-suite executive job titles, and then I'll make a list of IT job titles, and then I'll make a list that says, are people give me everyone who's on the C-suite job title list and the IT job title list. And now we have our C-suite IT list.
Mhm.
Um, New concept to George. And s- I was like, I've been doing that for so long that I was just like, "No, George, you know, I was like, "I'm explaining this poorly."
Mhm.
But he just had never built a list like that. Um, but that's but also, George has talked to me about personas. George is very passionate about the persona tool in HubSpot. I have many of times said I don't like it. I'm doing it wrong. It's not
Well,
that.
we were on a masterminds call the other day, and I know you call him Oaks, but I believe his name is Joshua Oaks, for anyone who doesn't know him. Um, he was
You
saying
call
something
him
in the
Oaks.
comments that he uses personas all the time, but the persona tool is trash, and so use custom properties. I believe that's what I read.
That's true. Joshua Oakes, also a big fan of the persona concept.
Mhm.
He less of a
Just
fan of
not.
the persona tool. But I had just given up on personas. But once you start getting in rooms with people, you hear things like that.
Mhm. So one of the things that makes okay, and part of this is all like fear of missing out too, right?
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
there is the intransigent nature of LinkedIn in that you're only seeing what somebody posted. Like if you have 15 minutes to look at the feed every day, you're only seeing like content from a handful of people. You're only seeing what they promoted today or
mhm,
yesterday or the day before.
mhm,
Like, what about all this shit last week and the week
mhm,
before and the week before? It's just like I, I to your point, like you have this nugget from that you've been doing for years and it's never gotten in front of George for whatever reason.
mhm,
Um, so I don't know. I don't know. It's up to like the people designing these systems to figure this out. And I think also you and I talked about like probably people are just going to gravitate towards trusted creators. And, probably some people that create less often might kind of shake out because people don't have time to read everything. Um, so we might see some of that happening too,
mhm,
which I think is part of your point about the masterminds is that you're just really aligning to maybe a very smaller select group of people that you trust and really diving deeper into what they're producing.
mhm. I think so.
So I have this other idea. Um, Meeps and I came up with it together, and I want to know what you think.
Okay.
Meeps also straight up lied to me yesterday because we started working on this early in the morning, and it was one of those days where it's like, okay, I'll have that for you in 15 minutes, and it was like, Meeps, where is it? It started out friendlier than that because I love Meeps, and it was just like, hey, Meeps, how's it going? But by the end of the day, it was just like, Meeps, how's it coming? Meeps, Meeps. Um, and in the past, when I got that kind of friction where Meeps was like, I'm going to do this thing for you, like at the beginning of the day, Meeps promised me the world, like literally the world, um,
Mhm.
literally the world. And it just wasn't manifesting. And I should have trusted my gut. Like, this feels like, but here's the thing I asked, I'm like, can you actually do this thing that you're telling me you can do? And in the past, that was enough to make Meeps come clean and be like, no, I can't do that. But Meeps doubled down yesterday and we're just like, I absolutely can do this. And no, and no was the answer.
And no memes could not.
But anyway, what Meeps and I came up with at the beginning of the day, and I certainly can't build this because I tried to build it yesterday and I failed, even with Meeps, was I know what would help me is better visibility into all of the updates that are applicable to me. And I mean more than 10 at a time. Like, I need better control over filters. I need to be able to set filters that are persistent, like today, tomorrow, next week, like not have to reset them all the time.
Mhm,
Kind of need to just like be able to put my licenses in and have it know like this is what's available to you. The thing that's missing from the weekly update email is
mhm.
like HubSpot's own prioritization of how much impact. Like, they give an impact score on each product update. You
Impact
think they're
scores
bunk?
are
They're trash?
yeah, I
Okay.
Kyle one time explained how they're calculated, and I think it's about, like, how many HubSpot users use that specific, like, feature,
Oh, okay. So
but,
but
like
it could be really important to you.
mhm,
Okay, so that's trash, never mind that. But I would like, so anyway, I want my filters to be persistent. I want to be able to see like everything for a specific period of time. And then I want additional fields to be able to provision those. Like, I want to scan them and I want to like in one go be like backlog, backlog, backlog. Like, and backlog may never get looked at.
mhm,
Or like, we definitely need to check out these three. Who's going to do that? And then what were the results of that? The end result, like, do we prioritize this or not? So Meeps was like, oh, you can totally do this. You can just download that information from HubSpot's product updates page, put it in an Airtable, which you can then create a Zap for to put it into Jira or Asana or any other tool, like project management tool of choice. For me, that would solve a lot of problems. How do you feel about that?
So I have a client I'm working with. This isn't a secret. I white label a lot. So I work with different agencies and um, yeah. One of the agencies I work with was talking to me one day about they wanted to create like basically like a list of pain points that their clients have so that
Mhm.
we could monitor the updates for those pain points on some sort of regular cadence. How, because I mean, there's two things. Like, I mean, one, there are things coming out that I didn't know I needed. Like, I would never have asked for,
Mhm.
but it is very helpful. And then there's the other side, which is like, which um which updates am I waiting for? I have a client right now who's having a lot of issues with the way that their quotes download as a PDF. The page breaking looks bad, the formatting is not great, it's just not great. Um, so every time there's a quote update at all, I'm, like, on top of it. I'm like, "I gotta see what this actually is. I gotta see if this helps." And, so far, no, but there's supposed to be some big updates coming, um, at inbound on the quote area. So, optimistic there. But the that's kind of the problem is like it's hard to track updates because you can't just look for updates that you know you need. You also have to have some sort of way to prioritize updates that you didn't even know you needed.
Mhm. Yeah. So
So what do we do?
the idea, so the thing about, what Meeps told me about the table of contents being invented for the printing press and the wave of books that came out of that, and how Google was invented for the internet. I think at least, I mean, HubSpot, we need a
HubSpot, are you
way to be able to see this information in the way that I just explained. I need that, like, at a minimum, because you're throwing too much at me right now for me to look at it 10 updates at a time, or through a weekly email that I have to, like, then, if I'm doing a good job as an admin and actually evaluating, I got to put that into a database anyway of some
Mhm,
sort, some kind of project management tool. So do the bulk of the work for me. And
mhm,
if you can't do it, figure out how to make that data available to us, this community, so we can build it ourselves.
mhm.
So that's one thing. And I think the other thing, Chris mentioned in a post maybe yesterday, I think he said, I could be totally wrong, but I think he said that he's just starting to, like, ask Breeze before he starts building something. And I think that possibly has to be, I mean, if Breeze can't do it yet, but I think that is also a change that is possibly coming at us, is that because we can't all keep up to date with all of this, who better knows what our portal can and can't do than HubSpot? Um, so I think that there needs to be a process change there, where maybe we're, like, checking in before we go out and do what we're doing.
That's a good point. I mean, I say this all the time. I'm auditing a HubSpot right now, um, that's been passed handed down, handed down, handed down, handed down. You've seen the portal. Um,
Oh,
and,
oh, I know which portal.
and I one thing I said to my client recently was like, eh, some of this stuff was necessary and it just isn't anymore. And that's hard. That's a hard change too, for 2 reasons. One, like, then you have all this, like, baggage in your HubSpot account that's, like, not necessary anymore, but it takes time to clean that up and, like, time is money, resources. Is it hurting anything? Maybe, maybe not. Um, so that's one thing. The other thing is a lot of people, like you and I, have been using HubSpot for a long time, and if you're not keeping up with the updates, the sync property update is my favorite example of this. You there is a it's within the last year, I think, HubSpot released these sync properties. So you can now set up a property that will sync company name, for example, to the contact record from the primary associated company record. Just syncs, no workflow, it's always updated, it just works. You can't even edit it in it just works. I have built in many of portals a workflow that says once the company gets associated, copy the name to the contact records company
I
field.
know. I was working through this one day and I was like, Casey, Casey, I need to put a workflow for this. Oh, this is problematic. Um, anyway, and then you were like, yeah, that's it. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. Remember? Let me deal with this for a second.
You're fine. So, but I also think that happens a lot where there is a workaround that people don't even know existed. So then people keep building these workarounds because they don't know that there's an alternative now. And even with the sync property update, maybe you heard about it because it did make a fair, if you're even keeping up a little bit in LinkedIn, It made a fairly big splash when it came out, but when it came out, it was fairly limited. You only had like 5 or 10 sync properties. I don't know. It was like not that many. And I was setting it up from some clients and we were like debating which one do you sync, which one don't we sync? And like, there's this whole like negotiations around which properties were actually worth syncing. But they expanded that. And when they expanded it, it didn't get as much news. So there are probably still people that believe they can only make 10-ish sync properties. I just had a conversation with a client the other day about this. Actually, a client that we set some sync properties up for. We had to do all these negotiations. And I mentioned building a new sync property, and they were like, well, we can't because we can only have a handful of sync properties. And I was like, no more. Is that the case? So there's this like downstream impact, and it's not bad. Like the portal that I was auditing, I was trying to explain to my client, like these previous admins weren't bad and they did good work. It's just these processes aren't necessary anymore. So you're muted, Trisha.
So what are you doing differently, if anything?
I'm trying to connect one-on-one with people, is the truth of the matter. You tagged me on Sprocketeers in Slack just the other day. Someone had a lead scoring question. You tagged me, and I sent them my meeting link instead of answering it live or answering it in Sprocketeers. And there's a few reasons for that. One is it takes some time to answer. It takes less time to talk through. Um, that's the biggest reason. But then the other reason is, like, sometimes circumstances change. A lot of times these, like, questions are not full questions or, like, there's just details that I don't know. So it tends to be easier to just talk through it. Um, so the and also, I find the most value in talking to people. Actually, the Sprocketeers Power Hour, is today. It's every Friday, 11:30 Eastern to 12:30 Eastern, and it's just a group of people from Sprocketeers, and we try to have a topic every week, and I tried not to do too much of the talking. Um, and that's, you know, a way to just start connecting and hearing what other people are talking about in a way that's, in my opinion, more consumable than, trying to read every LinkedIn post.
Mhm.
Are you doing anything differently, Trisha, or are you just feeling overwhelmed?
Um, I've definitely made it a set more intentional time aside for learning every
Mhm,
week.
mhm.
Uh, but I think I'm also just going to be very complaining until HubSpot recognizes that they have a responsibility to make this information they're providing us more readily consumable. And whether that's through some sort of like GPS navigator as you're building something and HubSpot's able to be like, that's the old way, sister. Come along with me to the new way. Or
Mhm,
whether it's helping with cataloging, providing an index of updates that's more, or working with somebody who can figure out how to get this built while we're waiting for HubSpot to get with it. I
mhm.
think that's, and I also want to hear from people. If, again, am I the only person? I don't know. Maybe I am, but yeah, that's my plan. Be more intentional and complain more in the interim, and try to find other people who can help solve this problem.
Yeah, I can't solve it, I don't have the skills, but I'm already, like, SOSing Nico. Um,
I love it. I tried all day yesterday. I couldn't solve it. So same, same, can't do it.
all right.
I did build a pretty cool Airtable though. I've never done that before. Have you?
It's been a while. Airtable can be pretty sweet though. So
Yeah, it was fun.
yeah. Well, that's a wrap on today's session of HubSpot AI for beginners. No tools, no features, just an honest conversation about what it feels to exist in this fast-paced AI-fueled content world. If you've been feeling pressure to keep up or second guessing whether you're doing enough, we hope this gave you a little space to breathe and reset. We'd love to hear your take. What's helping you cut through the noise? What's overwhelming you lately? Drop a comment or DM us. And if you've got ideas for future sessions or questions you want us to unpack, we're all ears. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will see you next time.
See you next week.